Alright guys, welcome back to today's video. In today's video, we're looking at RFK Jr. Now, RFK Jr. Was running in the Democratic primary. He was running in the Democratic primary to unseat and overthrow Joe Biden and become the Democratic nominee for President of the United States. Obviously, since President Biden is the incumbent, he obviously has that advantage in the primary, as many incumbents do. George W. Bush, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, they secured their party's nomination relatively easy. The only presidents who had trouble as incumbents to secure their party's nomination were George H.W. Bush, really, and I believe Gerald Ford was primaried a lot by Ronald Reagan in 1976, and you also had Jimmy Carter facing some opposition. But other than that, most of the time, if running as an incumbent, you're most likely destined to get the nomination. So RFK was not polling super high. He was polling at a maximum of about 20%. He didn't really go above 20%. He dropped down to about 10% after that. So he has decided now to run as an independent. At least that's what sources tell us. And normally these sources are normally correct. So how RFK could hurt Biden and Trump in the 2024 election with the independent bid? This is then extremely important. If RFK runs as an independent, he does have some popularity and enthusiasm. Since getting 10 to 15% support, taking away that support from an incumbent president who's running for re-election is a pretty big thing. So he obviously does have some support somewhere. People are actually liking RFK. So if he runs as an independent, the name factor in the fact that a lot more people know about this guy than most independent candidates could mean that he takes more votes from Donald Trump and Biden. I mean, you could have him possibly. I mean, we're looking at some of these polls here. If the polls are actually correct, you could have a similar situation. For example, and this obviously is not guaranteed, but you could have a similar situation. For example, like Ross Perot and Bill Clinton and George H.W. Bush in 1992. You could have a similar situation like that, where Ross Perot didn't gain any electoral votes, yet he did take a significant amount of the popular vote, about 18 to 19% there. So see here, let's take a look here at this article here from Reuters. Long shot U.S. presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s likely independent bid for the White House may complicate the 2024 race by taking votes away from Democrat Joe Biden or Republican Donald Trump in critical states, political analysts say. Canadian environmental lawyer, anti-vaccine activist, scion of the powerful political family, and son of Senator Robert F. Kennedy is expected to announce in Philadelphia on October 9 that he will drop his challenge to President Biden for the Democratic Party's nomination and run as an independent candidate instead. Okay, so it keeps on going there with some general information a little bit. But he's set to announce in October 9. So at the time of this video, we are in October 6th. So I believe on Monday this week, on Monday this week, he should be announcing. So on Monday this week, he probably will be announcing. Again, if you're watching this video a bit later, it's on October 9th. So he's expected to announce in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, that he will drop his challenge to President Biden for the Democratic Party nomination and run as an independent candidate instead. Okay, so that's interesting there. Now independent voters are going to be obviously important in this election. Here, the article goes on. Independent voters obviously can sway the election either way, especially like if you were a Biden voter or a Trump voter who voted for either of the two major candidates in 2020 and you decide to vote for Robert F. Kennedy. That's actually pretty much a vote for the opposite side. For example, let's say you were a Biden or Trump supporter in 2020 and you voted for Trump or Biden, yet now you're like, nah, I don't want to vote for these guys, and you vote for RF Kennedy since you say, hey, he's a little bit maybe centrist on some issues, although he's more towards the right when it comes to abortion and vaccines and censorship and things like that. Although he might be some leftist. Obviously, he's going to be leftist on something, since he's running as a Democrat. So you might say he's a little bit more he's a little bit more kind of with the common man with regards to not being on the extreme right or on the extreme left. But you're technically voting for the other side when you do that. So it is going to be interesting how Republicans and Democrats, or lifelong Republicans and Democrats, are going to be responding to this. But let's take a look here at a poll here, taken here by The Hill. Here, RFK Jr. could draw votes for both Biden and Trump survey. Now, you may be thinking that if RFK runs as an independent, he's going to take more votes away from Biden, since RFK is obviously a Democrat before he's changed into an independent bid. Well, the fact of the matter is actually wrong, because RFK is very conservative on issues such as For instance, you have abortion. He supports a 3-month abortion ban at the federal level, something which even a lot of Republicans are even scared about talking about. Even Governor Ron DeSantis is extremely scared about talking about that. Governor Ron DeSantis, who signed the heartbeat bill in Florida, a 6-week abortion ban, even he doesn't want to, push that in. Again, he may do that if Ron DeSantis were elected president and he were presented with the opportunity to sign a federal abortion ban, he may do that. But even he is wary of, saying that to the general public. But Robert F. Kennedy, more conservative on those issues, anti-vaccine activist and Democrat. He's okay. I guess you could say he's a part of the establishment, and that is, his family. They were in politics. Although he is kind of new, I guess, on the stage. But he could pull votes from about 1 in 7 U.S. voters. Now, 1 in 7 is a lot. I mean, when you think about that, that's more than 10%, which is a lot for an independent candidate there. So here, now this one here, this poll is interesting. Now, I don't really think this is going to happen. The front runners, Donald Trump and Joe Biden, would only receive 35% support. I doubt that that's going to happen. I don't think 30% of Americans are going to vote for an independent. But in hypothetical, but anyways, that's just a poll there. Again, some of these polls are outliers, so you have to keep that in mind. But 35%, I definitely guarantee you they're going to go a lot higher than that. I mean, even in 1992, Bill Clinton and George H.W. Bush won higher than 35%. But in a hypothetical 3-way matchup, which I mean is very possible, again, you have your No Label party as well, which is also running now. No Labels was in support of RFK running as an independent, but No Labels might run with Joe Manchin, a senator from West Virginia, who is his seat there in West Virginia is under high scrutiny, and he is most likely under the circumstance of losing it. So he might run in the No Labels party since he's much more on the right side of the Democratic Party. When I say on the right side, I mean more towards the conservative side of the Democratic Party. So Kennedy earned 14%, while Biden fell to 31% and Trump dropped to 33%. So what that means is he earned 14%. So you have to look at this here. They were at 35%, tied at 35%. Now, when Kennedy joins in, Biden falls to 31%, Trump falls to 33%. So obviously it's hurting Biden more than Trump, but it is hurting Trump. There are a lot of people who voted for Trump in 2016 even that like RFK, like his ideas, like the things that he says, and they will vote for him. Although it does seem to be hurting Biden more in this poll. Again, this is probably the margin of error within this poll. But again, I have seen polls where it does take away more support from Trump. But as you can see, we can't really tell a lot at this point because, number one, Kennedy might just drop out of the race in 2024, sometime in 2024. So that's a hypothetical. I don't think he will. If he's running as an independent, I don't think he'll just drop out. But okay, I mean, assuming it depends basically on how much popularity he gets. Okay, let's say something like crazy were to happen, and he were to be on the debate stage with Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Let's say he was polling that high, like Ross Perot. That would definitely shake things up. That would change the entire dynamic of the race here for 2024. So that's interesting. But notice here, about 9% said they were not going to vote in the 2024 election, and 13% said they weren't sure who they were going to vote for. Okay, so that's interesting there. He's obviously some history about him here. He was the nephew of former President John F. Kennedy. So he has a very well-known name there. So anyways, that is some information there about RFK. He's going to run as an independent October 9th on Monday. So go and check that out, guys. But guys, this channel here is here to give you all the news on the fly here with regards to 2024, the House election, guys. I know I haven't made any videos for the House elections, but they're coming down. And guys, at this point, only a small minority of you who are watching this channel are actually subscribed. So please hit that subscribe button, comment down below, guys. I have a lot of views in some of my videos, but I don't have a lot of subscribers. It really helps me out. It'll really help the algorithm. If you like the video, subscribe the video, share it with your friends, guys. I try to be as bipartisan as possible when I'm looking at this data, guys. I look off of data. I look off of previous trends that we had seen. So subscribe, like, help the algorithm, guys. I'll see you guys in the next video.